Shalom and good evening, everyone. I want to bid y'all a Shabbat Shalom for those who keep the Sabbath according to the heavens, as what is written in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. This is a great evening because this is the most high holy day. And for those who are new about keeping the Sabbath according to the heavens, seek out the Father in the name of YAHUAH HaMashiach. It's a deep, what's the word? It's a deep hidden secret. But now we're in the season where the Father is revealing all truths. For when you come in the whole Bible book, you will learn that Israel was under a curse. He took away all his holy days from them, and you know his word did not come back void. That's one of the reasons why the Sabbath was kept from them. Okay? One of the reasons. Many other reasons too. But that is the exact cause of why we have many keeping the Shabbat according to a heathen's calendar, which is the fourth beast calendar, and not according to the Most High calendar that he made in the beginning. The Most High would not give his sacred day unto a heathen. Okay. He gave his sacred day first unto Adam. But because Adam fell, when you understand the history of that, then you will understand why it was passed on later to the nation of Israel. When you go into sacred books such as Jubilees, Josephus, he does give clues, despite what the heathens translated. Even when you study the history of the ancient Roman calendar, the Julian calendar, and the Gregorian calendar, we also study the history dealing with Cornelius as well. Not Cornelius. I'm trying to remember that Roman emperor, Constantine. Yes, Constantine. When you find out what he did too, it would make you question, how do you know if the Gregorian calendar can give you the most high holy days? Okay. So for those who are new, there are tons of videos on the channel. And if you're still not for sure, you're in doubt, seek Yah in the name of YAHUAH HaMashiach, for the Father will give it unto you. Read Luke chapter 11. All right. I know some of y'all been waiting for this word. I'm excited about this word because this word came unto me by two sisters, Sister Huda and Sister, which is our mother, Audrey. Thank you. Because when I read it, I said, oh my goodness. And then today, the Father reminded me of something else. So tonight, y'all gonna get a little bit of everything. It's kind of like our Google Meet session. We talks about the mystery of the Most High Yah, as well as with the calendar, because when you study his calendar, you will learn that it would lead you to the biblical prophecies. It will lead you to understand agriculture, okay? And it will lead you to understand about the three groups, as well as with the Messiah. So as you see, everything ties in together, okay? What I'm doing now, again, I'm multitasking. So bear with me. We will be starting in a few minutes. Okay. I have to notify some people that we have started this evening. So as y'all waiting for me to start, I want you to look at the picture and I want you to meditate on this picture, because the Father remind me we are in this season now. We are in the month where seeds are to be sown in the earth. Okay. And I'm so thankful he reminded me, because, in the past, I remember studying all this stuff, especially when I was looking at when did they plant wheat. Because when you study about Pentecost, which deal with a wheat, which deal with the wheat, and we had to bring an offering to the Most High made with leaven, that was made from the grain of wheat. Okay. Um, you will learn that particular harvest represent an exodus, a gathering, the redemption. Okay. We'll may touch on that a little bit this evening. So I want you to meditate on this picture about the season we are in. Okay. Really want you to meditate on this about the season that we are in, because it's going to bring us into not only dealing with the sowing of the seed, but also with judgment. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, I got one more place to go. All right. While y'all waiting for me, I want you to go ahead and go to your Bibles. Go to Matthew, not Matthew, go to Mark chapter 4, but we will be going there this evening. And I have a nugget for you tonight, because in the 8-part series that we had just finished studying on with the mystery of atonement and the mystery of the Feast of Tabernacle, this will tie into it. For tonight, I want to give you a nugget. It's something that's dealing with our forefather Noah. He's one of our forefathers. Okay. I want to open up with that, because those who have seen the 8 parts will understand why I'm giving that to you tonight, because I forgot to include it in the 8 parts. Now, in the video description box, you have all the links to those videos. You also have the links to the book that will be going in tonight, as well as the King James 1611. Okay. And you will also have access to the Most High Calendar, because, like I said, we're going to touch on a little bit everything this evening. Okay. Just putting the last finishing touch on this one, and then we can begin. So have your Bibles open to Mark chapter 4. Okay. And I hope everyone is doing well this evening. If not, continue to pray, for we are in that time. Okay. Continue to pray. Things will not always be like this for those who are going through their trials and tribulations. Okay. All right. That one's done. So let me close that out. And the Father just remind me of the last 2 places I have to post this. And again, I do apologize. And I know in the future, I know it's coming, I will be getting some help. Because as y'all can see, I manage a lot of things, but the Father helped me get through it. Okay, where do I need to go now? Okay, this is the last 2 areas. So those who are on with me now, I hope all is well with you. And if you can hear me well, please let me know in the chat box. Okay, that should do it. All right, so what you see before you is a picture, and it's showing you some wheat. But in the distance, it's showing you a man who is planting seeds. Okay. And it's giving you the title, The Parable of the Sower. But the title of this video is dealing with the mystery of the 8th month, known as bull. And we're going to look at what bull means. Okay. Also, the title goes on to say the season of the sower sowing seeds and judgment. The season of the sower sowing seeds and the judgment. Thank you, my sister. Okay. All right. Now I want to change this picture out. And I want to take you to that nugget I was telling you about that I left out in part 8. Dealing with the wilderness. Okay. Again, in part 8, it talks about the wilderness. What does it mean now for the bride, for the 144, and for the nation of Israel? Okay. And it's giving you the location, which is very important. Also, what else I was going to say about that? I can't remember, but when it comes back to my mind, I say it. Now we're in the book of Enoch, first Enoch, and we're going to look at Noah's vision. Okay. This is a nugget I'm giving unto you. Now, we're not going to read the whole chapter, which is chapter 60. And in this book that is translated by Joseph Lumpkin, and so it starts on page 95. Okay. And this coming from a PDF. You too can download this PDF so you can have. All right. All right. Let us begin. Let me check my screen to make sure this is showing well. Okay. It's showing very well. And let me go back to that. Sorry, I was closing something out, trying to get to that screen. Okay. We're in First Enoch, chapter 60. We're looking at our forefather, who is Noah. We're going to look at his vision. You know, Noah is the forefather of the children of Adam. Okay. But, you know, he's restarted the population of Adam after the flood, him and his children. Okay. Chapter 60, verse 1. In the year 500, in the 7th month, on the 14th day of the month in the life of Enoch, in that parable I saw how a mighty quaking made the heaven of heavens to quake, and the hosts of the Most High, and the angels, and sorry, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000 were disquiet with great foreboding. Now, when you read this paragraph, it gives you a date. Okay, it's in the 500 year of Enoch's life, in the 7th month that falls on the 14th day. Remember, in the days of Noah, the year was not changed in. So the 7th month would have fallen in the month of Aviv. Aviv. Okay, the 7th month. Shalom. The 7th month will fall in the month of Aviv. I'm going to type this in the box. In that time of Noah. Very important, because now that 14th day, you're going to already connect it, or what the day it falls on. And it falls on the day of Pesach. Pesach. Okay. Let us continue to read. And the head of days sat on the throne of his glory, and the angels and the righteous stood around him. Excuse me, y'all. And a great trembling seized me, and fear took hold of me, and my legs gave away, and I melted with weakness and fell on my face. Now, for those who know the word, and those who had a spiritual experience with the Father, even reading about our forefathers when they went to see him in spirit, when he took them to up there with him, right? When you see him, you will have a sense of fear to overcome or come upon you. Even his creations in the earth would tremble in his presence. Okay? So when you read verse 2, the head of days is talking about our Father, who is Yahuwah. And the prophet Daniel will confirm this. But let us continue to read. Verse 4. And Michael sent another angel from among the holy ones, and he raised me up. And when he had raised me up, my spirit returned, for I have not been able to endure the look of this host, and the disturbance, and the shaking of heaven. Something to meditate on, because when you understand why the Messiah has to prepare the way for the Father to come, then you know not anyone can just go before our Father in heaven. Remember what Torah was teaching us about the high priest. He is the only one that can go into the Holy of Holies, which is our Father's throne room. Okay? Verse 5. And Michael said to me, why are you upset with such a vision? Until this day, his mercy and long suffering has lasted towards those who dwell on the earth. Do y'all see one of the fruits of the Spirit? Something to meditate on about that long suffering. On the channel, when you look at the videos dealing with the book of Baruch, we expound more about this fruit. It is a great fruit to have because it's going to produce a good thing within you. Okay? And as we know our Father is merciful. Read Romans 11. He is merciful unto his children, the children of Israel. Read Romans 11, you'll see it. All right, verse 6. And when the day and the power and the punishment and the judgment come, which the Lord of spirits hath prepared for those who worship not the righteous law, and for those who deny the righteous judgment, and for those who take his name in vain, that day is prepared. See, the Father, this verse right here is telling you the Father has not forgotten. He has a special day for the wicked. Let us continue to read. It would be a covenant for the elect, but for the sinners, an acquisition. So, us keeping his covenant, keeping his commandments, his statutes, his judgments, basically his instructions. You see, it's going to be for his elect. His elect going to take a delight in it. But for the sinners, it's going to be a problem for them. It's going to be a stumbling block unto them. Okay? And we can see this going on. Look at what's taking place in the churches that follows the Roman Christianity doctrines. They're having a hard time with the Most High Covenant. Let us continue to read. When the punishment of the Lord of spirits shall rest on them, it will not come in vain, and it shall slay the children with their mothers, and the children with their fathers. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? The Father is taking them out, whether they're a mother, father, or child. You want to go back and look at Matthew 13 and Revelation 14. And on the channel, it's way back, but if you do a word search, type in Nat Turner and read his confessions, and then you will understand why the Father allowed his prophet to do what he did. It was a sign unto the heathens. Okay? And now we have his prophet, an ancient one, who is what? Who was taken to heaven, confirming that this is going to come to pass. Something to really meditate and think about. Okay? Let us continue to read. Verse 7. And on that day, two monsters were separated from one another. A female monster named Leviathan, to dwell in the abyss of the ocean over the fountains of the waters. And the male is named Behemoth, who occupied with his breast a wasted wilderness, named Duodan, on the east of the garden, where the elect and righteous dwell, where my great grandfather was taken up, the seventh from Adam, the first man whom the Lord of spirits created. So as we see here, Noah is talking about Enoch, because he was the seventh from Adam. He was the seventh leader or the seventh head of that generation. He fell in the seventh generation. Okay? But notice here, the nugget I'm giving you is that it's telling you what this wilderness is. It's giving you the location of this wilderness. It says it was on the east garden. And it says this is where the elect and the righteous dwell. Now you're going to have to watch part 8. I'm not going to give it to you in this video. You're going to have to watch part 8 for those who are still learning about the wilderness. Okay? Because that's a mystery in that. And that's all I'm going to give. But I hope you enjoyed that reading from First Enoch. We was coming from chapter 60. Okay? And that's something you definitely want to read in your spare time. All right? So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to take this off for now. Now we're going to get into the meal. Okay? Let me see where I want to go with this first. Let us first go to the calendar before we begin the reading. Because I want you to see what is the meaning of bull. Let me first take you to the sighting of the photos first. And then we'll go to the calendar. So we're in the 8th month of the Most High calendar. It is it fell in the month of October and November, okay, in the heathen year. And when we look at the world report, we see here, like in India, let me see what else this is saying. I'm not going to try to say that in word. But we also see in Kenya. We also have reporting from North Carolina and Florida. So on the 17th day of October, the new moon was seen. Okay. And remember, the prophet gave us what is the new moon. Okay. Remember what the Messiah said about the prophets. He said what he has given us his prophets. So those who are confused about what the new moon is, he has given us the prophet Enoch. But Enoch was given the divine mysteries of the heavens and of the lights in the heavens. And proof that his writings have been preserved, you have to look at the Jews of Ethiopia. They are called Philistines. So they are a stranger in that land. And they have proven or have provided the proof they are the children of Israel. But they have also kept a lot of the sacred books that was ordained for the masses to read. That is your proof. Okay. Now, as you see here, there has been no reporting from Israel of them seeing the new moon. Now, I did get a chance to look at what YAHUAH's reporting are, and he's on Facebook. And he, according to his reporting, he was only able to see the new moon on October the 18th at 6:30 p.m. in Israel time. Okay, so he saw it on day 2. Day 2. While the rest of the world saw the new moon on its first day, which falls on October the 17th. Okay. And again, you're probably asking, why is this so? It is so because you have to go back to Genesis 1:14. The Father give us signs in the heavens to let us know that the Israelites have been scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. And now that because they have been scattered, this is a worldwide thing now. It's not a local thing. And the heavens and the earth is crying out unto us. They are showing us things to let us know that Israel is not in their proper place. And those who are calling themselves Jews are not the Jews. They are the imposters or the identity takers. But again, this was according to the Most High will. When you have some time, I want you to read the Song of Moses. I believe it's in chapter 31. I'm going to check to make sure because I'm always giving the wrong chapter when it's dealing with the Song of Moses. But I want you to read Deuteronomy 31 and Deuteronomy 32 because you will see why the Most High allowed um, a a well, not a Gentile, but you would learn the mystery on that. Allow the Gentiles to take the Israelites' identity. Okay, so read Deuteronomy 31, chapter 31 to chapter 32. Also in the video description box, I want you to listen to the Most High prophetic messages because he does touch on that. He does. Okay, so when you have some time, listen to that as well. Okay, now where was I? Gonna show you the calendar. So this is why it's important for us to look at all the sightings of the moon because now the Israelite has been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So we are operating in a worldwide level now. Okay, not a local level, not like in the days of Egypt. Now this is worldwide. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to take you to the calendar because I just want to show you just a couple of things before we start reading Mark chapter 4. Y'all are getting a little bit of what we discussed in Google Meets today. All right. And unless the Father say otherwise, we are planning to meet every Saturday, either through Google Meets or through some type of internet connection. And for those who would like to join us, because this is dealing with the family of Yah, it's not dealing with a church or organization or a camp. It's not about a clique. For those who bear our Father's Spirit, believe in the Son, and under the Ruach, for those who are of that was bring us together. We are a family. Okay? There's no division, there's no walls. We are a family. And the Father is bringing us together in these times because it's time for us to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay? So those who would like to join us on Saturdays, you can text me, but please identify yourself. I may even call you too. So you can text me at 919-972-8970. And we'll put that also in the comment section. So you'll have 919-972-8970. So for those who like to join us, because in that session, a lot is revealed. We share mysteries. Okay. We talk about the calendar. In other words, we put all these pieces of the puzzle together at the same time while learning his calendar because, like I said earlier in the video, everything is connected. Okay. Okay. Let me see where we at. We're at the calendar now. Let me see how that looks on the screen. Okay. So we're going to the 8th month, and we're here at the 8th month. And I do apologize. The calendar is not complete yet. There's two things I need to add. That is the Mazzaroth date and when the sun entered Mazzaroth. So I don't have that. However, you do have the days of the moon. Okay. And you do have the biblical events that take place in the 8th month. Now, how we know this 8th month is named Bull, and it is a Hebrew word. You can find it in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 38. And when you look this word up, it means increase, produce. Okay. I want you to memorize that word or write it down because we're going to touch on that word. And then you begin to understand why this is the month of increase, which will bring what? Produce. Okay. And I'm going to add this in this year. I'm going to add this in so it can be continued on in the next years to come. So I won't forget this season of sowing, seeds, and judgment. Okay. As far as scriptures to read, I'm going to add Mark chapter 4. We're looking at Matthew chapter 13, I believe. First John chapter 3, and then John chapter 1, the 9, 5. It's another one, 2 with that. I can't remember. I'm going to put down chapter 8 as well. And then Acts chapter 26, verse 15 through 18. And keep in mind, y'all, I'm doing this off the top of my head. Okay. So in the video, if I give you something different, that's why. All right. And I do apologize for any mistakes. Okay. All right. I do want to take this part out, and because this was dealing with last year stuff. Okay. So now we have this part out. So on the first day of the moon, or the new moon, as you see here, the world saw it on the 17th day. Now, there's many reasons why Israel could not see it. Okay. But we do know it is a sign unto the Israelites to let them know who they are. The Father is speaking unto us through his heavens. Okay. As far as the day of the sun, it is the sun's 7th month and 26th day. The sun's 7th month and 26th day. So this is the first day of the new moon. Okay. Take this time now to pause your screen to look at that. So because we're going by the heavens, your Shabbat days will now fall on from Saturday to Sunday. From Saturday to Sunday. Okay. So what I will do while we up here, I'm going to give you the date for your Shabbats. So you can see how I'm doing this calendar. So how I figure out the next date for my next Shabbat, you know the Father works in the number of 7. So I add 7 to October 17th, and I get October the 24th. This is how I know when my next Sabbath is, okay, which is today. So you're going to start at October the 24th at sundown, and it's going to end on October the 25th at sundown, okay? And I'm going to keep going down. Yes, this month does have 31 days. So my next Sabbath, which is the second Sabbath, I add 7 to 24, and it would be 31. Okay. So my second Sabbath is going to start on October the 31st at sundown and end on November the 1st. So I need to put my little indicator here that this is the heathen day when their month when they begin another month. And y'all ain't gonna lie, this is a lot of work keeping up with the heathen's date, with the Most High date. But as you've seen, even the Bible, our ancestors did that. So that way we can align up certain biblical events or certain things. Okay. So now I'm gonna go down to my third Sabbath. Okay, I'm going down this autumn. Again, working in a number of 7s. Adding 7 to that number. Okay. So I'm not gonna make this math too complex. Just to make a shortcut. I know my Sabbath's going to end on the 8th day because I add 7 to 1, right? So what's the number before number 8? 7. So my third Sabbath would start on November the 7th at sundown and end on November the 8th at sundown. So I add 7 to 1. Okay. Again, the Father works in his sacred number in the number of 7. Okay. It represents rest and it represents perfection. Okay. Now we're coming to the last Sabbath because in the Most High months, you will always have 4 Sabbaths. That is always. You will have a new moon day, and that's separated. Again, he has given us a prophet to confirm that, the prophet Ezekiel. Okay. And then it follows after the new moon day, you have a total of 4 Sabbaths. And then after that fourth Sabbath, we're waiting for the next new moon to appear. Okay. So I'm going to add number 7 to 7. Okay. We do that, we get 14. And when I add 7 to 8, we get 15, right? So on November the 14th at sundown to November the 15th at sundown, we will have the fourth Sabbath. Okay. Now, as far as the biblical events, what I notice here, this is given the event in the days of Noah, and this is when the flood came into the earth. Okay. This is also the month when they enter into the ark. It's very important to know these things because it will relate to us again. Remember what the Father said. He's not going to destroy the world with with water anymore. He's going to destroy it with fire. And when you study about fire, fire is to make things anew. It's a mystery about that fire. The book of Revelation touch on it, and I think it's the book of Mark or the book of John will touch on it. But again, when you study about fire, it is to bring things anew, something new, right? Okay. So another thing you can look up and research, you probably want to look up, why do the farmers burn their land? Something to think about. All right. So that's all I'm gonna do with the calendar. I'm planning to have this done on tomorrow. In other words, I'm gonna be working on it tomorrow so I can post it. But check my YouTube page. Go to, I think it's the community section, and you will see me. You will see if you will see some information about when it's complete. Okay, I do apologize for that. All right. So let me come out of this. Now for the nitty gritty, and you're gonna see why I took you to the calendar first. And I'm smiling here because I'm sitting here thanking my Father for reminding me about the season we're in now. Very important. Okay. So next we're gonna go to, before we start Mark chapter 4. This gonna be biblical. I'm going to take you to some scriptures dealing with rain, and you're gonna see why that's important for you to kind of know before we begin. Okay. So let me share that screen with you. So when you have some time, your homework is, as y'all see, I'm always giving homework because unfortunately I can't put everything in a video. You're going to have to do some work yourself too. Okay. When you have some time, I want you to do a word search. Type in rain. Okay. And thank goodness I did it myself because I came across a nugget that hit on what we talked about with the mysteries of atonement and tabernacles. So the scriptures we want to look at are Hosea 6:3 and then Joel 2:23. Let me start with Joel first because I'm going to click on Hosea chapter 6 and we're going to read the first 3 verses. Okay. So let us look at first at Joel chapter 2 because when you meditate on rain, you begin to understand why it's so important. Why did the sons of Adam see this as an essential thing that one must have? Even the Israelites, it was very important that we have rain. And when you study the Most High Calendar, you will learn there's a certain time when the rains are released. Again, it's dealing with agriculture. Okay. Joel chapter 2, verse 23. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. So when you look at this scripture, it's giving you a date. When it's saying first month, now this is in the days of the children of Israel. So this is dealing with the month of Aviv, right? The month of Aviv. Remember Noah had a vision in the month of Aviv too. Okay. We're going to go to Hosea chapter 2 because it's going to expound a little bit more in the spiritual message here. Okay. It's going to give us an analogy, a parable. Now I'm going to click on Hosea chapter 6, and we're going to go to the 6 to 11 version so we can read a chapter summary, and I'll just read for you the first 3 verses, but I would like for you to go back and read the whole chapter. It says in Hosea chapter 6, looking at the biblical summary, it says, an exhortation to repentance, and an exhortation to repentance, a complaint of their untowardness and iniquity. Okay. Verse 1. Come, let us return unto YAHUAH, for he hath torn, and he will heal us. He hath smitten, and he will bind us up. Notice here, YAHUAH's what? Tears, but yet he will heal you. YAHUAH will smite you, but yet he will bind you up or bring you back together. Something to meditate on this. Again, we understand what the husband is doing in the vineyard. Do you understand this verse on number 1? Okay, but let us continue to read. Verse 2. After 2 days, after 2 days will he revive us. In the 3rd day, he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. You want to highlight that because now we're getting the confirmation about the 3 days. A lot of the brethren is talking about it had to land on the 4th day. But when you see there was a miraculous thing that took place on a V14 that caused a day to happen within the day. And I highly recommend that you go back, write out all the details that took place on the day of the Messiah crucifixion. Notice what hour he died in. Okay? Very important. Also look at the days of Moses when he was on Mount Sinai. Notice what phase of the day that Moses entered to Mount Sinai, because when you understand that he entered into Mount Sinai after the morning activities, then you have understanding that a day or the daylight of the day was still counted as the first day. Okay? Again, we have to understand the Father ways. It was not based on 24 hours. So this verse, then this is coming from a prophet, the prophet Hosea. He said, well, after 2 days, will he revive us? Who is the us in this verse? I'm going to see if anybody remembers some of the things that I was sharing with you from the part 1 through 8 dealing with the mystery of atonement and tabernacle. Who is the day that he revived? And I'm going to give you a hint. It's in Matthew chapter 28 on the day that he resurrected. Who is the day or the dim that this verse is talking about? Do I have anyone that can take a shot at this and give me the answer? It said, after 2 days will he revive us. In the 3rd day he will revive us up, and we shall live in his sight. Who is the day that this verse is talking about? And I think it's in Matthew 28. Let me look that verse up, because I want someone to attempt or try. I mean, I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect you to have the correct answer, but I want you to try, because if you try, you will always remember the answer to this question. And when you always go to Hosea 6 or to Matthew 28, you're going to remember what the scripture was showing unto you. In other words, it'll be seared in your brain. Okay. Do I have anyone to try? It's in Matthew 28, verse 50, verse 52 to verse 53. I'm sorry, y'all. I gave the wrong chapter. It's Matthew chapter 27, verse 52 to verse 53. Who else was revived, y'all? This is a prophecy given by the prophet Hosea. Okay. Matthew 27, 52, verse 53. Do I have anyone that would try for me? Okay. Let me give you another hint. Who else was resurrected with the Messiah? It's in Matthew chapter 27, verse 52 to 53. Do I have anyone? Are y'all shy? Don't be shy. Okay. Now I know some of y'all have seen part 1 to part 8. Some of y'all have even seen the videos that's in the holy days and holy feast playlists, because we talk about Sheol. We talked about hell that's in the center of the earth or that's under the earth. Do I have anyone to try for me? Okay. Maybe another time, right? Okay. When we look at Hosea chapter 6, verse 63, this prophet is giving us a prophecy that takes place when the Messiah resurrected on Aviv 16th. Because this verse right here is confirming, it said, well, after 2 days will he revive us. So 2 days gonna pass. But on the third day, so it happens in that third day, right? Again, go back to the events that take place from Aviv 14 to Aviv 16. Because when you study Torah and when you study Tanakh, you will learn Aviv 16 is the day when the manna ceased in the days of Joshua. It is also the day when we bring the sheepweb offering or the first fruits of the barley harvest unto the high priest so he can present it before the Father. And we know what that omer represents, for we know that it represents the Messiah going before the Holy of Holies, going before Yahuwah. Okay, so this verse is clearing up the confusion that many have with the gospel because how it's written. Okay, so this verse is telling you that his resurrection take place in the third day, not according to the Gregorian calendar. You got to go look at the Most High calendar. So it don't happen on no Sunday either. Okay, so those that was revived, that was raised up in him. When you read Matthew chapter 27, verse 52 to 53, you will learn they are what? The saints. And in the book of Hosea chapter 12, it gives you the meaning of the saints. It means most holies. And you have to watch again part 1 and part 8 to understand why they're most holies and what he does unto them. Okay. And also, if you check the video description box, the book of Nicodemus will also give you insight. I think it starts in chapter 18 on that. And you have to read all the way down. Okay. To the rest of those chapters. So here it said, we shall live in his sight. So those saints are starting from our forefather or our foreparents, Adam and Eve, all the way up to all the way up to the Messiah. Okay? That's what this prophecy is talking about. Dealing with the saints who too took part in the resurrection. Now, this does not count for the first resurrection. It was a sign unto you. Do you hear me, Israelites and Gentiles? It is a sign unto you what would take place unto us. You got to go back and look at the Messiah and I'll go back to Genesis. What happened when the Messiah resurrected? What form was he in? Father's telling me to give it to you. Was he not in body, soul, and spirit? But his body was what? Changed from corruptible to incorruptible, from mortal to immortal. He set the example of what we shall become in the regeneration. That is the highest inheritance one can receive. Remember, your inheritance in the kingdom to come is determined by your heart, your faith, and your works. Okay? Let us continue to read. Verse 3. Then shall we know if we follow on to know YAHUAH. His going forth is prepared as the morning. And he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter rain and former rain unto the earth. So here is comparing the Messiah. It's comparing the Messiah coming. So we know he came the first time. So the first time he came was what? As the former rains, as the first rains, dealing with Pesach, right? Dealing with this day of resurrection. And then we know he shall come back as the latter rain. Because with his coming back of the latter rain, he's going to disperse the command that the eagle wings to be released. And when you understand the eagle wings, they are to gather the elect from the four corners of the earth. I'm trying to understand your answer, Sister Belinda. Okay. Oh, are you talking about with the eagle wings? Clarify your answer for me. Okay. Remember, there will be some great miraculous things happening that is to come. So here, the coming of the Messiah is compared to the latter rains and the former rains. So my question unto you, for those who are a little bit familiar with agriculture, what type of rain are we in now? What type of rain are we in now? If you don't know the answer, I want you to meditate on it, because when we read Mark 4, we're going to go into it. Okay? All right. So let me type in, what type of rains we are in now. Because Joel chapter 2 gave us the answer. Well, in other words, it gave us a clue. Gave us a clue. Okay? And that was in Joel chapter 2, verse 23. Okay? And I'm just going to remind you, latter rain is in the first month. Latter rain in the first month in the days of the children of Israel. And I'm going to put in parentheses Joel 2, verse 23. So you got your hint. So you got an idea. Okay. But the former rains. So if the latter rains in the first month, when are the former rains? Okay. Very important. Okay. Let's get to nitty gritty now. Mark chapter 4. Mark chapter 4. The parable of the sower and the meaning thereof. We must communicate the light of our knowledge to others. The parable of the seed growing secretly and of the mustard seed. The Messiah sitteth the tempest on the sea. Okay. Verse 1. Let me see how the screen look. Okay. So everything's showing good. Verse 1. And he began again to teach by the seaside, and there was gathered unto him a great multitude, so that he entered into a ship and sat in the sea, and the whole multitude by the sea on the land. So I want y'all to picture that. So in other words, the people were standing on this shore while he was on upon this boat. So it's kind of like a platform or a setting of an auditorium, so the people can see him and so he can be heard. Okay, so I want you to picture that in your mind. Verse 2. And he taught them many things by parables, and said unto them in his doctrine. Now, notice here, doctrine. Now we know all things come from the Father, for he was what sent by the Father, and all things was taught unto him by the Father. So, in other words, he is teaching them YAHUAH's doctrines. But notice here, notice how this teacher is teaching them. He's teaching them through what parables so they can grasp it, right? Or so they can understand it. Okay. I'm bringing this out because those who teach will have that gift to reach the masses. Okay. Verse 3. Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. Now I want you to underline these words. Sower to sow. Because my question unto you, after I read verse 4, who is the sower and what is he sowing? Who is the sower and what is he sowing? Okay. Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. And it came to pass as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came and devoured it up. Okay. As I'm reading this, I want you to meditate because this parable should remind you who is the sower and who is the seed. Who is the sower and who is the seed? Okay. So in verse 4, as the sower is sowing these seeds, some of the seed fall to the wayside. I can picture that. Okay. So they fall to the wayside. And because they fall to the wayside, these birds of the air came and ate them up, right? Okay. I want you to picture that in your mind. Verse 5. And some fell on stony ground where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up because it had no depth of earth. So, in other words, because these seeds fell on a stony ground, they didn't have much earth to go deep within. Okay. So they sprang up and had nothing to grasp on to really hold themselves up. Let me keep reading. I'll go back to verse 5. And some fell on stony ground, which it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up because it had no depth of earth. And when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. Key word here you want to underline, it had no root. And because it had no root, it withered away. Now, if y'all know anything about the sun, what does the sun do when it shines its light upon things? What it's going to do to that plant that came up from the seed? Do I have anyone to take a guess? Okay. Oh, sorry, y'all. Oh, okay, I do want to show that for right now. Okay, I have anyone to take a guess? When you have the sun to shine on certain things, especially things that are living, we know plants are a living thing when you study about cells. What do most things have within them, okay, to live or to sustain themselves? All life has to have this. Well, most lives that we know. They have to have what? Water. So as the sun is shining on this plant that came out the seed, and because it had no root, it couldn't what? Take any water. Do y'all see where this is going now? It couldn't drink water because as the sun is shining on this plant, it is what? Dehydrating the plant, causing the plant to what? Wither, to die. Okay? Very important because Father's reminded me to tell you, go back and watch the videos on Mary Magdalene testimony about the Messiah. It is in the playlist dealing with the rapture doctrine, dealing with the eagle wings, dealing with the saints becoming white. Okay? Because she touched heavily on this too. She would touch heavily on Mark chapter 4 as well as Matthew 13. Okay? So when these seeds fell on stony ground, they couldn't go deep into the earth because there was not much earth there for them to go deep in. Also, we learned that when the sun came up, they were scorched by the sun because they had no root. So without root, they cannot get what? Nourishment, especially what? Water. Okay? So because it could not get the water it needs, the sun eventually dried the plant out and it died. Okay? Especially if it's in shallow earth. Okay? Verse 7. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. So imagine thorns with whatever is planted, choking that plant. In other words, I can see like a vine or something wrapping itself around the plant, preventing the plant from eating, from drinking. Or it could be stealing that plant food. Okay. So when these thorns do whatever they're doing, it calls that plant that came out that seed not to produce any fruit. Okay. Verse 8. And other fell on ground, and other fell on good ground and did yield fruit that sprang up and increased and brought forth some 30 and some 60 and some 100. I want you to underline, I forgot to tell y'all to underline in verse 7, no fruit because the thorns choked it. These are key words I want you to Write down. Then we look at verse 8. The key word here is increase. Increase. And as you see, when it increased, it brought what? Great abundance. This would tie into your 8-month bull. What the bull means. Increase. Produce. Okay? Verse 9. And he said unto them, he that have ears to hear, let him hear. Now, notice this. Messiah say this a lot throughout the gospel, throughout the book of Revelation. Why do y'all think he keeps saying this? I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Remember that talk that he had with Nicodemus, who was the high priest of Israel? And he was letting him know, if you cannot understand the earthly things I'm telling unto you, how can you understand the heavenly things? For Nicodemus, you must be born again. This is why the Messiah keeps saying this. You have to have ears to hear, okay? Because these things come by spirit. They don't come by flesh. They come by spirit. And the reason why the Messiah said, you must, if you don't understand the earthly things, how are you going to understand the heavenly things? When you understand the relationship that the earth has with the heaven, how the carnal go in hand with the spiritual, then you understand why he gave that comparison unto Nicodemus. If you cannot understand the simpler earthly things that he's sharing with them now, they definitely not going to grasp and understand the heavenly things, because it's the earthly things is the what? The example or the foreshadowing of the heavenly things. That's right, sis. Shalom, my brother. And that's right, he does speak from the spirit. So yes, the root does give nutrients and strengthen them. Okay. Verse 10. And when he was alone, they that was about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. So his disciples want to know what the parable means. Verse 11. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the kingdom. I'm sorry, y'all. Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. Now he's giving you the reason why he gave the parables unto the masses of people that he spoke. But notice here, this verse is telling us a lot. Okay? This is what he's saying to his disciples, unto his students who later become apostles. He's saying to them, they would know the mystery of the kingdom of heaven. How would they know these things, y'all? Again, all things come by the Spirit. As my brother say, I'm from the light. It comes by spirit. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. So he has to present it in a way where they can understand it. Because they what? Like spirit. Okay. Verse 12. That seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted and their sins should be forgiven them. You want to highlight that verse, because now we're going to go to the precept, which is Matthew 13 verse 4, because the key word you want to underline here, he said, in order for them to see this and to understand this and to hear this, you have to be what? Converted. You're going to see that word again in the book of Acts. You have to be converted. Okay? I'm going to take you to Matthew chapter 13. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to my tab over here, my other tab. And now, let's see, pull this chapter up. Let me change my screens. Now I'm going to take you to Matthew. Matthew chapter 13. We're going to only look at one verse because both of these chapters is going to speak on the same things. However, it's giving you from Matthew point of view, and then the book that we're reading now, which is Mark, is going to give you Mark point of view. I highly recommend that you read both chapters. Okay. But for the sake of time, I'm going to read the chapter summary and then go to straight to verse 14. Matthew chapter 13 summary. The parable of the sower and the seed. The exposition of it, the parable of the tares, of the mustard seed, of the leaven, of the hidden treasure, of the pearl, of the draw net cast into the sea, and how the Messiah is contemned of his own countrymen. Okay. So we're going to read verse 11 down to verse 14. No, we're going to have to go down to 15. Okay. Verse 11. He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. There go that word, y'all, abundance. Father's telling me, remember what the book of Mary Magdalene say about what the spirit sees versus what the flesh sees. Let us continue to read. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he have. So despite of those who have, who consider themselves to be successful, if they lack the very thing that the Father had that the Father originally gave unto Adam, but they do not possess that thing that he gave, all will be taken from them. Okay? Verse 13. Therefore speak I to them in parables. This is why he speak in parables. Okay? Because they seeing, see not. See, they cannot see these heavenly things, y'all. And hearing, they hear not. So they cannot hear. Neither do they understand, nor do they have the understanding. Go back to Genesis, y'all. He's touching on Genesis. He's touching on the makeup of Adam. Also read Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. This is why they cannot see, they cannot hear, they cannot understand. Verse 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. Even the prophet spoke of this very day of what the Messiah shall do. He shall come across, he shall what? Prophesy unto a group of people who could not hear, even though they had ears to hear, and they could not see, even though they had eyes to see, and they could not understand, even though they had a mind. Okay? Verse 15. For this people's heart is waxed gross. There you go, y'all. Heart. For this people heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their hearts, and should be converted. There go that word, y'all. Converted. And I should heal them. Ooh, y'all, that's the same thing that happened with the saints. Remember what we just read in Hosea chapter 6? The same thing that would happen to Israelites and Gentiles. This verse right here is saying a whole lot. I'm going to even read verse 16. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. And we're going to close out with 17. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. Okay? But let's go back to verse 15. The heart. Did he not say, did not our father Yahuwah say, oh, Israel will have a heart in them? It's in Deuteronomy chapter 5. It is one of the main things that I see not only in Torah, I see it in the prophets' writings, I see it in Tanakh, I see it in the New Covenant. He said, oh, if they will have a heart in them. Now, the bride and the 144 bear this characteristic. They are the group that have received the circumcision of the heart that's not done by man's hands. Now you see where we're going with this. We're going to tie in something deep and spiritual here. Now you're going to understand why the Father, or why why the Messiah chose to give us a parable with the earth and the seed and the sower. For we know the earth represent what? Us. And as we begin to learn further, when you read 1 John chapter 3 and in the book of John, really, especially in chapter 1, you will learn that the seed is the word. And we're going to get clarification of this as we read further in Mark 4. So the earth is us, the seed is the word, and now we're about to answer that question. The sower is Yahuwah. Again, in John chapter 8, did not our Father send his Son? He said, well, I come in my Father's name. All things are taught unto me by my Father in heaven. So he's sent by the Father. So the sower is Yahuwah. Okay. I need to type that again. Sower is Yahuwah. The seed, okay, is the word / Yahusha. And the earth, I'm going to put Adam, which is basically what? Israelites and Gentiles. Okay? I want you to have that. And correction, I meant to type in the seed, but you know what that means. So the sower is our Father in heaven, for what? He is the one who sent his Son in the earth, right? To preach unto us for 3.5 years, or to prophesy unto us for 3.5 years, and to finish the work that he gave him to complete, so Adam can be redeemed. And we know Adam is made up of what? Israelites and Gentiles, mankind. Okay? Now, let me take this off. Let me go back to Matthew chapter 13. Let's look at verse 15 again. So that heart is very important. And this is the characteristics that the 144 and the bride of Messiah have now. Because they have been born of the water, they are born of the Spirit, and they have received the circumcision of the heart that is not made by man's hands. Now, for the nation of Israel, their time will be coming. When you read Romans 11, as we talked about earlier, you have learned that the nation of Israel, and I have to put this in the chat because a lot of people don't understand these characteristics, because if you don't come in the whole volume of the book, you will miss it. Like for me, I thought it was dealing with a group of people, a group. But when the Father showed me, there are 3 groups. And when he showed me their characteristics, I began to understand the prophet writings as well as the New Testament. So the nation of Israel, these are their characteristics. Okay. This is known as the mercy group. Okay. They're also known as the unbelieving group. Now, unbelieving not only deals with those who do not believe in the Messiah, okay, but also deal with those who are not keeping the commandments. Because if you believe in something, guess what? You will what partake in it. You would keep it. But for those who talk on the side of their mouths or because of their heart, again, they have what? A stony heart, and they have what? No spirit. Again, they are doing the same as their ancestors, like in the days of the wilderness in Exodus. Okay? Stony heart, no spirit. Okay? There are a repeat of the ancient Israelites in the wilderness. Read, I want you to read Acts chapter 7 or watch part 8. Okay? They're gonna like now, I'm talking about in this season now, they are doing the same as their ancestors. Okay. So they are the repeat of the ancient Israelites in the wilderness in Exodus. Okay, I'll finish typing that out. Very important to know. Nation of Israel characteristics, excuse my typo. They're known as the mercy group. Unbelieving. They have a stony heart. You need to read Romans 11, Ezekiel 20, Ezekiel 36, Ezekiel 37, Ezekiel 11. Okay? Read all of that and you will see it. They have a stony heart. They have not received the circumcision of the heart. Okay? It relates to Acts 7. They are doing the same thing. Okay? Whether those who calling themselves Messianic believers or those who believe in the Messiah. Again, if they're not keeping his instructions or keeping the covenant that we learned from Enoch, because the elect gonna keep the covenant. Okay? And they're gonna keep it in spirit and in truth. For that's another mystery on that. Okay? If they don't follow the Messiah instructions, then they are classified as unbelievers. You can't be in the middle. You're one or the other. You can't be lukewarm. You're either hot or cold. Okay? They also gonna do the same as the ancient Israelites who was in the wilderness when you read the book of Exodus. They're doing the same thing now. Like King Solomon said, there's nothing new underneath the sun. Okay? Romans 11, I want to stress again, we confirm what I'm saying. Unbelieving, and they are in the mercy group. And when you come into the whole Bible book, you begin to understand why the Father will have mercy upon them. We are dealing with another entity. We are dealing with another party. Again, watch those 8 parts, and you will see who else we're dealing with. And I ain't talking about no Esau. I'm talking about something else that's bigger than Esau. Okay. All right. Verse. Let me see where we at. Want to make sure what we're in. Okay, we're going back to Matthew. Not Matthew. We're going back to Mark chapter 4. Mark chapter 4. Okay. So we're in Mark chapter 4. So we're looking at verse 12. You have to be converted. When you read the gospel and the book of Acts, you will know converted means to receive the salvation and the righteousness of Yah. And who is the salvation and righteousness of Yah? It is Yahushua HaMashiach. He is the second Adam, and he is the Son of God. Okay? That's what that means. Once they receive him, then they can partake in the Holy Spirit baptism, the promised gift that was there in the beginning. Again, go back to Genesis. Understand the makeup of Adam. Okay? Notice what he said this. Once they are converted, then their sins, okay, I'm sorry, and their sins should be forgiven. I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. And their sins should be forgiven them. Again, when we study about atonement and what that means, you will understand that those who receive the new covenant now, I'm not talking about the eternal covenant that is to come. That is a different covenant. Those who receive the new covenant that the Messiah established, this is why the saints could be taken out of Sheol. Okay? This is why the saints can go to that wilderness. Because they are under the new covenant now. Okay? All right? This is why their sins shall be what? Remembered no more. He took care of all of that. The Messiah did. Remember, he is the high priest now. He is the one that goes before the Holy of Holies. He's the only one that can enter into his Father's throne room and that can intercede on your behalf, just like what a lawyer does when you go to court, when you're facing the judge. Okay? Verse 13. And he said unto them, know ye not this parable, and how then will ye know all parables? Okay? So before I get to the following verses, I need to take you to Acts chapter 26 and look at verse 15 to 18. Then you will see how all this ties together. So when we read the interpretation of the parable of the sower sowing the seed, you would see this. You would see how all the parts connect together. I want you to see the bigger picture here. So now we're gonna go to Acts 16. Not Acts 16, Acts 26. Okay. Okay, let me change my screen over. Okay, Acts chapter 26. When you have some time, I want you to read the biblical summary. Okay. But notice the word converted is used in that biblical summary. Okay. I just explained to you what converted means. Again, it's dealing with salvation. So we're in Acts chapter 26. And we're going to look at verse 15 through 18. It says here, and I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushua whom thou persecutest. So this is Paul speaking here now. Okay, so he's giving a testimony of what happened unto him. So Paul goes on to say, but rise and stand upon thy feet, for I had appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and a witness, both of these things which thou hast seen, of those things in which I will appear unto thee, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom now I send thee. So that's Paul's assignment. He was to what? Preach unto the Israelites and unto the Gentiles. But you know, one of his main office was to reach the Gentiles, because Paul was able to cross over. Just like when you look at certain Hebrews with their music, such as Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson, they was able to cross over and they had the whole world to adore them or to idolize them or to enjoyed to listen to their music. Okay. Well, that was the thing with Paul. Paul was able to cross over and reach the Gentiles. Because just back then, when you understand the history of the Gentiles, starting even before the flood and after the flood, because when you know this, all the sons of Adam, even the sons of Noah, was taught about the Most High. They knew about the Most High. Okay. But they went left. So Paul was able to reach them because Paul had that, what's the word I want to say here? Paul had the understanding, the knowledge, and the wisdom of Yah to do this. Again, read the book of Acts and see what happens to Paul on why he's able to operate like that. Okay. He goes on to say, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, into whom now I send thee, to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan unto God. Y'all want to highlight this verse. Now notice what Paul is able to do when he was converted, when he too received salvation. He says here that he was giving the ability to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan unto God. Again, remember, I'm telling y'all, we're dealing with another party here, another entity. We're dealing with the powers of darkness. We're not dealing with the flesh. We're not dealing with the Esau. In other words, we're not dealing with a man, okay? That is the root cause of all these problems that we are dealing with as Adam. We are dealing with an heavenly being or heavenly beings, okay? So Paul was able to deliver the people from the power of darkness. Now, not by his hand. Again, it's by the one who's called the right arm or the right hand or the stretched out arm, by the one who is the light of the body or the eye of the body. Okay. This is how Paul is able to do this. It also goes to say that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me. Okay? Do y'all see this? I want you to underline all this. So, once they receive salvation, they are what? Forgiven of their sins and an inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me. So, what is this inheritance he's talking about? When they receive that seed, they become what? Sanctified. And how that receive is by faith. You have to believe in the seed. You have to believe in the Son. And once you believe in the Son and you have faith in what the Word is telling you, which is going hand with belief, then you shall partake in that inheritance. Remember, the Son has an inheritance. And when you read Isaiah 53, his what's the word I want to say? I just don't want to say bride, but those who join him, okay, or who come in covenant with him, also will partake in that inheritance. Okay. There's one more verse I want to look in the book of Acts. Bear with me before we get to the interpretation of this. We're going to go to Acts chapter 16. Because it's going to break down or give you an understanding what take place when one is converted or when one receives salvation. Acts 16, and we're going to look at verse 14 to 15. Okay. Acts 16, and we look at verse 14 through 15. And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple, of the city of Thyatira, which worshiped Yahuwah, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened. Underline that. The Lord opened her heart. How did he open her heart? The hearing of the word. The prophet, I think Isaiah spoke on that. Go to Romans chapter 10 and it gives you the precept of what the prophet Isaiah said about this. There are those that will believe who have not seen him. Okay? It's in there. I just can't remember where, but I think it's the prophet Isaiah, but go to Romans 10. Okay? So the Lord opened up Lydia's heart, and notice what happened. That she attended unto the things which was spoken of Paul. So she heard Paul preaching the gospel. Okay? Verse 15. And when she was baptized in her household, she besought us, saying, if ye had judged me to be faithful to the Lord, to Adonai or Adonai, come into my house and abide there. And she constrained us. Okay? So notice what takes place when one receives salvation. The heart is open. Now, this is going to bring us back to the earth, the seed, and the sower, and the rain. Then we're going to see how all this tied in together. Okay? Earth. Let me change the screen for y'all. We're going back to Mark 4. We're going to see how this all tie in together. I want to give y'all the keywords. How it ties into the sower, the seed, the earth, and the rain. And also YAHUAH's calendar. Because now you see why it's so important for us to keep record of time. Everything ties in together. Okay? That's all right, sis. I'm just covering some of the things we talked about today in our Google Meet section. Okay? So these are the keywords I want you to meditate as we digest or as we eat upon Mark chapter 4. The sower, the seed, the earth, the rain, which again, because we are studying the Most High calendar, it led us to what? Agriculture, which tie into the parable what the Messiah was giving unto us. Okay? Hold on for 1 minute, y'all. I got to speak with my son right quick. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that, y'all. So let's go to Acts 4. Not Acts 4, Mark 4. It says here, this is the interpretation of the parable of the sower of the seed. It said the sower soweth the word. Do y'all hear that? So we just read what happened with Acts with Lydia, right? And also what Paul was doing and what he was doing, what it brought forth, what it produced. Okay. So the sower soweth the word, which is what Yahushua HaMashiach, the Son of God. And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sowing, but when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately. Do y'all hear this? Now, this is not dealing with a man, this is dealing with a heavenly being. So Satan comes in the picture and take away the word that was sown in their hearts. There they go again, that heart, that word hearts again. So he removed the word out of their heart. That's Satan. These are the ones, these are the seeds that's cast on the wayside. Okay. And these are they likewise work, which are sown on stony ground, who when they have heard the word, immediately received it with gladness. So when they heard it, they received it. They was happy to receive it, right? And have no root in themselves. So they didn't have no root. Hmm. And so endure but for a time. So they only stay, in other words, they only stay in the gospel, or they only stay in salvation for a certain period of time. Okay? So let me read this again. And have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. So they didn't last long, because it's going to explain what happened to them. Afterwards, when affliction or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. Remember what the Messiah said, that you will not be afflicted because of you. You're going to be afflicted because of he who abide in you. Remember, when you receive salvation, when you follow those instructions in Romans 10, he will what? Dwell in you. That seed will be in you. For are you not the earth? So the seed will come in you to reside in you. Okay? But when persecution come or affliction come, like he said, we're gonna go through these what tribulations. We are in the tribulations of the Jews, and those who partake in the covenant of the Jews, and I'm talking about the new covenant, will also be persecuted and afflicted. Okay? Talk about the new covenant, because they're not afflicting you, they're afflicting the one that abide in you. Remember, he said the world will hate you, not because of you, but because of him. Remember, this world is under the powers of darkness. It is under Satan's reign. Okay? Let us continue to read. So this is why these seeds don't last long. Okay? Because they had no root in them. Again, you got to understand what that root is. Right? It also goes with, you have to feed your spirit man. How do you feed it? Through the word, through fasting, through meditation, and prayers. So when affliction or persecution come, you know how to deal with it. You won't waver. Okay? Verse 18. These are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things entering in, choke the word, and it become unfruitful. And these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that part for last. So when we look at verse 18 and 19, notice what happened with the seeds that did grow up, but they were choked. What are the things that choked them? See, now look at this. Now they heard the word, but because of the cares of the world, because of the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things entering in, this is what kept them from the word. And we see this forever ongoing. It's among the Hebrew Israelites, even those who call themselves awakened. It's among our people who are not awakened. You see, they're all in Hollywood and in the music industry. Okay. And we can see it in the rest of the sons of Adam. Okay. I mean, this is a verse you really want to underline. And you probably say, well, how can it choke the word out? When you look at the cares of the world, there's many distractions here that would keep you from what? Reading the word, meditating on the word, praying and fasting. So they become like a wall blocking you from what the word want to share with you, from what the word want to teach you and show you. But you're so distracted because you're so focused on the cares of this world, and because you didn't implant yourself in this word, you're not aware that there's an end coming to this world. This world's not going to last always, but many think it does. So they allow the cares of the world to hinder them or to keep them from the word. Then they go on saying the deceitfulness of riches. Now that's another one. That's a deep one there, because many are deceived by gold, silver, money, um, all precious kind of stones, anything that's of value, even lands, and how they are deceived. I'm sorry, and how they are. Uh, what's the word I'm trying to say here? The reason why it written this in a certain way of saying deceitfulness of riches. These riches are blinding them to the point where they can't see that the Father's going to put an end to this. Did he not say he's going to destroy this world by fire? All this stuff that they working for in vain or have sold their soul for, it's for nothing. It's going to go away. Nothing lasts forever. For example, look at metal. Do not metal rust and then it disappear and return back to the earth? Do not our bodies go back to the dust? Do not even the plants and the trees wither away eventually and return back to the earth? Do you see what I'm saying? There is nothing right now in this world that we're living in to last forever. The Father made that perfectly clear. But many are blind by riches because they think they can what? Further their life because of their money. They think they can live forever if they had like the best health care, the best treatment, but we know that's a lie. Oh, a lot of them think that they can't be touched because of money. Again, they're blind. Then it goes on to say the lust of other things. So anything that you desire or want or have in your heart that you focus so much on that comes as an obstacle against the word. This is how the word is choked out. So if you think about choked out, that you squeezing the word out of you to the point where there would be no word left. And because there's no word left in you, in other words, because Messiah no longer abide in you, you become unfruitful. In other words, you don't bear the fruits of the Spirit. Because if you bear the fruits of the Spirit, guess what? You're going to draw men unto the Father, the Son, and the Ruach. Something to really think about. Okay. Verse 20. And these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word and receive it. So they hear the word and they receive it. And guess what, y'all? They bring it forth fruit. Some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Because once you receive that seed in you, then that seed will take a root within you, giving you the living waters. Remember that Hebrew letter that we talked about, which is I'm gonna look it up right quick, which is iron in the Messiah name. Remember that? So he is the root that should lead you to what? The living waters. And the living waters is the Ruach, the Holy Spirit. It is the glory of Yah. It is the beauty of holiness. It is the seven eyes of Yah, known as the seven spirits of Yah. And through that spirit, that Holy Spirit or divine spirit, okay, it shall give you the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yah. Y'all see how this going hand in hand, which remind me of what is written in, I think it's in John chapter 15 or 16, where he talks about the vine. Very important to meditate on. Okay, wisdom. I'm just sitting here typing here. Knowledge and understanding. I need to put here root is Messiah. And that root will be in your heart. And the heart is in the midst of your bowels. Because it will what? Reach your mind as well. Okay? Let's see where we at. Verse 21 to 22. Now we're going to start reading a little more faster. Okay? Now I'm going to give you the verses to look at. Again, it's going to touch on the Messiah. Now we're going to the part about the light of the body, the lamp unto our feet. Okay? Let me turn my book open because I got to give y'all the verses on that before we read those verses. Okay. You want to read John chapter 9, verse 5, John chapter 8, verse 12. I gave you First John chapter. I'm sorry, not First John. Let me see what this is saying here. First John chapter 1, verse 5. And I also got to 10. Okay. Verse 21. And he said unto them, Is a candle brought to be put under a bushel or under a bed, and not to be set on a candlestick? For there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. And that is true. What is done is the dark will come into the light, because the spirit of Yah knows all things. It searches out the heart of men. Read the book of Songs and read Hebrews chapter 3 to chapter 4. Okay? So when we look at verse 21 again, he said unto them, It is a candle brought to be put under a bushel or under a bed. Now you know you can't do that. Because what? The bed's going to catch on fire. In other words, you can't hide the light. It cannot be covered. It cannot be hid. The light will be revealing. This is why for those who bear the light within them, this is why there are those who cannot stand around you. They cannot bear to be in your presence because of that light. Verse 23, If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. And he said unto them, Take heed what you hear, with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given. So he's saying that the more that you receive from him, the more that you take in by your ears, the more that shall be given, because you are receiving or you are understanding what he is saying. Those who do not receive or who do not understand, okay, because they still in darkness, okay, then less is going to be given unto them until they graduate, right? Verse 25, for he that hath, to him shall be given, and he that have not, from him shall be taken, even that which he hath. So he's going to lose everything that he has, what little he has. Even those who want to remain in the 66th book, we got confirmation from a sacred book, which is the sealed book of Mormon. I'm not talking about the book of Mormon, I'm talking about the sealed book. It has confirmed unto us that those who remain in the 66, the time is coming, they're going to lose what they have because they chose to remain in the box. They chose not to read what the Father ordained for them to read so they can be prepared for what's coming now. So as we see, we have witness upon witness upon witness, giving us understanding what that means. So the more that you seek the Father in all things, the more that he's going to give to you accordingly to your heart. Okay, verse 26. And he said, So is the kingdom of God, as if a man should cast seed into the ground. So he's comparing this to the kingdom of God. In other words, in order to be in the kingdom or to partake in the kingdom or to receive the inheritance the kingdom had, he's comparing this to the sower sowing the seed into the ground. Okay, again, what's the end result should be? You should produce good fruits of the spirit. You should be abundant. You should be increased. So just as in the 8th month, this is the month where we have the former rains to come. This is the month that usually fall in October to November on the heathen's year. And this is the month where the farmers begin to what? Sow seeds in the earth so they can have what? Crops to harvest in the next year, such as they sow what? The barley, which come in the spring. They also sow the wheat, which come in the summer because wheat takes about 6 to 8 months to grow. Okay. But in order to sow the seed in the earth, for those who are familiar about the earth has to receive the rain. Because if the earth receive no rain, it's two things the earth cannot do. The earth will not be unhardened where it can be plowable in order to plant the seed. And secondly, if the earth have no water in it, it cannot nurture the seed because the seed has to have something to grow or to germinate, or the seed needs something to drink in order to grow. Do you see how now all this is tying together, and why I emphasize on the focus about with this one right here? Mm-hmm. You're on point, my brother. Okay. And I gotta post this because learning how to learning how to love those who do not love you. Again, that comes from the spirit. Okay. I want to show my brother's comment. Because the reason why we can love them, because we know they are still in darkness. So they don't have the understanding that we have. They don't see what we see, nor can they hear what we hear. This is how we are able to love them. Because we was once in their shoes. And we know they are what? Under the powers of Satan. But the only thing that can break that bondage, break that hold, is the word, which is YAHUAH HaMashiach. But you have to be obedient to him to come out of that prison. Okay? Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm back, y'all. Sorry about that. All right, let me get back here. This is very important. It goes on to say, where were we at? I'm going to start at verse 26 again. And he said, so is the kingdom of God as if a man should cast seed into the ground and should sleep and rise night and day. And the seed should spring and grow up, and he knoweth not how. For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself, first the blade, then the ear, and after that, full corn in the ear. It's giving you the stages of the barley, and it's giving you stages of the wheat, y'all. Then look at this. It's giving us a carnal example. It said the earth, she herself, because of the rain, is able to what? Bring up, is able to cause the seed to grow. First the blade come up, which is the plant. Then the ear come up. Then within the ear, you have the corn to come into the ear. Okay? Verse 29. But when the fruit is brought forth, immediately is putteth in the sickle, because harvest is come. You want to highlight that because we're getting close now to harvest time for the bride, for the 144,000, and for the nation of Israel. This is what the wheat harvest should remind you of. Okay. And the first harvest, which was barley, should remind you of the Messiah and the saints. But the wheat harvest should remind you of the bride, the 144, and for the nation of Israel. Remember, there's only a remnant that is chosen out of the nation that he's going to deal with first. Going back, read Jeremiah 3. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 3. He's going to select one of every family. And at the same time, he's also going to purge out the rebels. Then in the last harvest, which is the Feast of Tabernacles, which is the last in gathering, then you will have the other Israelites that will be gathered to come to join them. This is why it's so important for us to study the Most High calendar, to study his holy days and holy feast days, because he's given us a deep message. So right now, the harvest, the Exodus, the redemption that we're waiting for now is the wheat harvest. And it's dealing with them what? Being fruitful. In other words, they are ready to be plucked. Okay? And notice that when that harvest come in the wheat is going to be separated from the tares. Like I said, it goes deep. Like I said, I can go deep with y'all tonight, but I kind of want to stay on point with the seed. So just as the earth go through these phases, what the Father is telling me unto you, you are the earth. And when you make up your mind to receive the salvation and the righteousness of YAHUAH, then that seed will dwell in you. And it begin to take root within you and feed you the living waters. And that living waters that he feeding you with shall give you the knowledge and wisdom standing of Yah, not of this world, but of Yah. You begin to think like your Father because you was made in his image, and now you bear his spirit. Also, as that seed is developed, growing in you, it will make you stronger in the word because it's going to feed you the bread of heaven. It's going to feed you what? That living word. Something deep here, y'all. Do y'all see this? And he's going to what? Circumcise your heart. Again, when you hear the word, which is a spirit, the spirit enter into you and uncircumcise your heart. So your mind is not hardened. You are willing and able to receive what the spirit say unto you. You are willing and able to follow what he tells you. You're no longer stubborn, angry, bitter. And at the same time, he's what? Cleansing you, sanctifying you. So when your Father come, you can stand before him. All right. Verse 30, and he said, whereunto shall we liken the kingdom of Yah? Or what? Or with what comparison shall we compare it? So he's giving us another comparison. He said the kingdom of Yah is like a grain of mustard seed, which when it's sown in the earth. Now think about you now. It is less than all the seeds that be in the earth. But when it is sown, it groweth up and becometh greater than all herbs, and shooteth out great branches, so that the fowls of the air may lodge under the shadow of it. So that's a mystery in that. When the seed abide in you, who are the earth, it grows. And when you understand how they are the kingdom, and we begin to realize how big his kingdom is, you become a part of that kingdom. And that kingdom is like this tree that grows from the mustard seed. It is a very large kingdom. It has no limits. Because when you learn about him, he created so much, y'all. It's so much he wants to show us and share with us to show how big his kingdom is. But it starts within you first. And notice how it compared to how this tree becomes so big that it provides what? Shade. So that the fowls of the air can what? Reside under it. If you understand about the sun ain't no joke, y'all. The sun will burn you up. But because this tree is so big and because the root is so deep in the earth, it cannot be shaken. It cannot be torn down. It cannot be withered. So it shall what? Provide rest, protections for the fowl of the earth. Something, I mean, y'all, this is deep. But let us continue to read. And with many such parables spake he the word unto them as they were able to hear it. Okay. Verse 34. But without a parable spake he not unto them. And when they were alone, he expounded all things to his disciples. Okay. So he explained things further to his disciples because they was what? His friends, his family, right? Because when you see what take place with them first after he resurrected, you will see why they will have the mysteries of the kingdom. Okay. Again, the Ruach will make you to be friends of God, friends of Yahuwah. The same with Abraham, the same with the Messiah, and the same with you. Okay. Trying to see where I'm at, y'all. Verse 35. And the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him, even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. Fathers want me to remind you, make sure you go back and listen to Mary Magdalene's gospel, because she talks about this tree. There are levels that you have to go past. There's levels you have to pass within this tree, and that's what you shall become, something greater. And that greater is dealing with the status of Adam. Okay. What you lost, but now has been restored or redeemed by the Messiah. Right? Verse 38. And he was in the hither part of the ship asleep on a pillow, and they awake him and said unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? Do you see what his disciples telling him? They say, you sleeping at a time like this, and we going through a storm? And he arose and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. Do y'all hear that? He's saying what? Unto the sea, rest, be still. What he's saying to the wind? Don't blow no more. Be still, rest. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. I love that because I feel that within me, y'all, at times. I see chaos or I see things getting disturbed around me, but there's a peace within me. I'm like, I can't go there. I like things to be peaceful. Okay. Verse 40. And he said unto them, why are ye so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? Do y'all hear that again? Now he showed them great things, but they wasn't able to connect the dots. Because notice the question they give unto him. How can you sleep at a time like this? We have a storm. But if you have faith, you know that the word can calm the storm. So you have no worries. Especially if he's on the ship with you. You think the fire will bring down the ship? No, not with his son there. But they didn't have the faith. They didn't understand. Okay. Verse 41. And they feared exceedingly and said one to another, what manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? So they couldn't figure out how could this man command the wind and the sea to be still. Okay. Again, they didn't really know who he was or who really sent him. But when you read the gospel and you read the other books that follow after the gospel, you will understand why they was not able to see it because of what Satan was doing. He was blinding many, okay? But only the Ruach can reveal those sacred things. Here are the side notes and the precept that goes with this chapter. So now let us meditate on this parable because I gave y'all a prelude a couple of days ago and said, what seed is in you? Okay. Or do you have the seed in you? And we know that the seed is dealing with the word. But what you want to ask yourself, because my sister asked me a good question. When you read the parable of the sower sowing the seed, which one would you like to become? That's something you need to ask yourself, because you got to look at yourself now. And you have to ask yourself, are you producing the fruits of the Spirit? Because if you are, especially for those who are called, who are His servants, we are in the season now. The Father is bringing us out to draw men unto Him. He also bringing us out to do His will, because many that He has called, or those that He have not called, are not doing His will. So now He's bringing out the righteous to do it. Okay. So when you look at these seeds, which one, you gotta ask yourself, which one are you? Are you the type, okay, you believe in the word, but when troubles come by your way, or when you're persecuted, you said, forget this, I'm putting this down. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with the word. you know, are you one of those that lack faith? Because when you really get deep in this word, and the word begin to show you things, you begin to understand why you are persecuted and why you are afflicted, and you will know this, that it would not last always. For there is an end to this, and there is a new beginning, which number 8 represent what? New beginning. A new beginning to come. Okay? So, or are you one of those who allow Satan to come in your heart to get you mad and upset about something, say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not receiving salvation. Or are you one of those that let me see, hear what it says, that allow the word to be choked out of you, because right now your heart is on making money, or your heart is on getting a platform so men can what, follow you or worship you or idolize you, or your heart on being with many women or being with many men, or is your heart on just enjoying the delights of the world, such as eating all the time, you know what I'm saying, because there's many things of lust. Okay, there's many things that people desire, and the list is endless. But are you going to allow these things to choke the word out of you, or to keep you from the word? Or are you the one who is a child of the Most High, who love your Father with all your heart, with everything you got, and who also love your neighbor as yourself? Are you that one that has received the word, that has not been shaken by troubles or tribulation, or that has not been choked out with the things of this world or the riches of the Gentiles? Or are you that one who are producing the fruits of the Spirit? And if so, hallelujah. Praise be to Yah, for you are doing our Father's will. You are doing a good work in His name, and you shall be rewarded in the kingdom to come. Because the kingdom of heaven, y'all, it is gigantic, it is enormous, and it's waiting to join us, or us to join them. And it's so much the Father wants to show us and share with us. And when the Messiah come, because right now we in part 2, in the third part that is revealed by the sealed book of Mormon, the Messiah will reveal the mysteries of God, the mysteries, these things that was kept from the powers of darkness and from the sons of Adam. Read Revelation chapter 10. Okay? All right. So that's something to think about. What seed is in you? Are you a child of God? Do His seed live in you? Or do Satan's seed live in you? Something to really think about. Okay? So, to end this up, we know the sower is our Father, which is YAHUAH. He sent the seed into the earth, right? Which is His Son, Yahushua Mashiach. And the earth is you, O sons of Adam, Israelites and Gentiles. And the rain is the Ruach, the Spirit, right? For when you hear the word, it is that word that would circumcise your heart. It is the only thing that can unharden your heart if you allow it to come in. And once he come in and abide in you, and that root take a deep hold within you, within your heart, then you are filled, then you are fed with the bread of heaven, which is the word. And then you are giving drink, which are the living waters, which is the Ruach. And through the Ruach you shall have within you or possess the knowledge and wisdom and understanding of Yah. This is so beautiful to see. Now you begin to understand why it's so important that we learn about agriculture and how it relates to YAHUAH's calendar. Because when we understand that, like the Messiah said, when you understand the earthly things, then you begin to understand the heavenly things that is come and that shall take place in you. Y'all, this is so beautiful. This is very beautiful, y'all. Again, to my sisters, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Because I know this is the Father speaking. Okay. And now you begin to understand there is a difference between the nation of Israel that he's going to bring back into, first they're going to go to the wilderness. But there is a difference between that group versus the bride with the 144. For the bride and the 144 bear the same characteristics. They are the children of what? The faithful. They are the children of the believing. They are the children who have received the circumcision of the heart that's not done by man's hand. They are the children who are born of the water and of the spirit, so that light is within them. However, when you look at the nation of Israel, they are a group that are under the mercy of Yah. For they have a stony heart. They're not born of the Spirit, nor do they follow what the Spirit say. That's very important. They also are the unbelieving group because they don't believe in everything of what these books tell us. This is why the Father has to deal with them face to face. For he loves them so much. And he made a promise to our forefathers. But it's up to them to come in because when he deal with them, this pleading that he's talking about is not begging, okay? It's about they're gonna have to choose which side. Like Moses said, choose this day which side you shall be on. And those that chose to be on his side, and that those that who chose to remain on the other side, okay? When you go back and read that account, when he come off the mountain, after he realized they participated in idolatry, those who chose to remain on the other side, what happened to them, y'all? They were put to death. So the same is going to happen worldwide. He's not playing with Israel no more. He's not playing with the Gentiles no more. But most important, y'all, he's not playing with those entities either. Again, we got another party we dealing with, y'all. And the Father going to put an end to them too. All right. Continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Y'all, it's truly at hand. We can see these signs. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and baptize the people in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach for that lamb. That second Messiah set the example for us to follow. And for those who don't have anyone to baptize you, you can go in the bathroom and do it yourself. For the water is the second witness in the earth. And it makes a report to the Father on who come into the new covenant, to the marriage. Because when you study his word, you will learn that the Father pour out his spirit upon all his creations. And because his spirit is in everything that he made, it can report unto him. This is why when he come on the scene, all things shakes before him. Whether it's the mountains, whether it's the angels, even the heavens shake before him, because all things was made by him. All right, y'all, I done said enough. Good night and shalom.